I'm delighted to introduce our guest today, Dr. Scott Colman of the Hetrick Center. Welcome, Scott.
Hi, Ann. How are you?
I'm doing good coming off of this Memorial Day weekend. So, Scott, I have a question for you. When I was doing some research, what caught my attention was you have this motto on your website: positivity, teamwork, impact. What does that mean to you personally, and how do you make that come alive within your business?
Yeah, it's kind of my personal purpose or why, and I've translated that over to our business. We keep it alive and well. They're more than just words. We have videos that go out to the team, emails that go out to the team. Every team meeting, we're always talking about those three things. But, we definitely want our teammates spreading positivity. We want them to share in that winning team mindset. And we emphasize the word winning because, we're a for-profit business. So we definitely want to win in all aspects of the things that we're doing. And more importantly, we want to have an impact. And, the bigger picture of all of it is we want to inspire people to do the things that inspire them. We're a, healthcare facility, and we're in the rehabilitation business. So we really want to make sure that we're helping people get back to doing the things that inspire them. But that translates down to the employee level. We want to help our employees do the things that inspire them. And if we take really good care of them and they feel like they are having an impact and spreading positivity and doing all those things, they're part of something bigger than just coming to work and getting a paycheck. So if they're doing all those things, then they can become inspired, and we don't have to worry about the patient getting taken care of. They get the care that they truly need and deserve.
I absolutely love that. I've had chronic back problems my since 1985. And I went
As many people do.
I went to an entity, this is many years ago, and I just felt like the person had no optimism, no positivity, and no faith that what we were doing together was going to
Yeah.
make a positive difference. I think I had 2 visits, and I'm like, no, this is not the right place for me. So I love that really your motto transcends your work environment, right? And it's part of how your employees work day to day. So I'm going to
Right.
pivot a little bit. You're a husband and wife team. So what drew you and Mary to the Hetrick Center?
Yeah, so that was back in, it's been almost 25 years now, and we were looking for the perfect opportunity coming right out of chiropractic school. Neither of us are from Pennsylvania, but we knew of Dr. Hetrick and what he was trying to do and build, and we jumped on board with him very early on in the process, and we just kind of grew with the company. This will be 10 years that we've owned the company personally, but we've worked here for our entire career. And it was the opportunity to, I guess, be part of more of that multidisciplinary type of chiropractic, physical therapy, integrated care. We knew Dr. Hetrick had invented the HydroWorks pools, and those were up and coming, and we have these pools with underwater treadmills, and so it kind of gave us a niche that other people in the marketplace didn't have, and it was just the right fit for 2 young doctors to learn a lot and grow within a company. And then since we've taken it over, then we've just tried to carry forward that vision, but light it on fire a little bit. So far, so good. Things are really going well for us.
Congratulations on a 10-year anniversary of your ownership. That's
Yeah,
a
sure.
significant
Thank you.
milestone. So you said something that really caught my attention: integrated care. When I think
Mhm.
back of my adult livelihood, I think of chiropractics in one corner, physical therapists in another, and I
Yeah.
love the fact that you have an integrated practice. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, there's thousands of chiropractors and physical therapists out there. And there's even a lot of chiropractic and physical therapy facilities that exist. But we feel like we've actually successfully integrated it, in a world where some chiropractors and physical therapists don't necessarily integrate and they want to do their own thing. We've found that when we come together and really work for the patient's benefit. Chiropractic does a great job at restoring mobility and helping individuals out that way. And the physical therapy team, yes, they work on some mobility, but they bring stability to the patient's condition through strengthening and stabilization and muscular endurance and a lot of those things. So, in a lot of ways, I feel like we would be doing the patient a disservice. There are a lot of chiropractors out there that will do some of the exercise therapy on their own. But as I've worked with these PTs over the past several years, I've really come to appreciate their level of expertise. And it's far beyond what we're trying to do. So we can really help anyone from someone trying to avoid surgery. We do a lot of the post-surgical work here at the Hetrick Center as well. But usually it's somewhere in between. And we're able to capture all those and, enhance the patient outcome, improve the patient satisfaction. And it's been really good for us. Having the HydroWorks pools is just one more thing. And then we also have massage therapy. And so we do a lot of therapeutic massage. So that gives patients the opportunity to get that more detailed soft tissue work that they need. So, when we've added these services, it's all been done with a great deal of thought as far as how can we best treat the patient. But, even on the outside of the walls here, we've really integrated ourselves also in the medical community here in central Pennsylvania so that, we like to be a one-stop shop and that people can come here and if nothing else, we'll get them pointed in the right direction. So we refer out a lot. We receive a lot of referrals from the medical community. So it's really, we've worked hand in hand with a lot of the doctors throughout the area to build their patient care experience as well.
Nice. Your underwater treadmill, not a lot of places have that, right? So that's a big investment. Who's the typical user of the underwater treadmill?
All the way up to the elite athlete from a performance training perspective, because there's underwater resistance jets, and then we can get the treadmill going. When we lower someone down to, say mid-chest, they're only at about 20 to 30% of their body weight. We can really unload the joints. But the other thing, when you're in water, your heart beats 10 to 15 beats per minute slower than it would on land. So, it's a real efficient way to work the heart and lungs. So you take someone up to, 160 beats per minute in the water. It's really like being at 175 on land. So that takes care of the elite athletes. A lot of professional sports teams have our HydroWorks pools. And they all started right here with us. And so, it's a major expense. So you don't see a lot of those in private independent practices like ours. But then we can go all the way up to the really deconditioned spinal cord injury patients, those type of things. But our wheelhouse would be, the arthritis, post-joint replacement, just those things that really need to be decompressed. And it gets people moving in a safe environment. The water's very warm, 92 to 94 degrees. So, our older patients, quite honestly, we're in a very sedentary society, right? So just getting people in the water and getting them moving, they feel so much better. But, we can let our creativity run wild in those pools. It's very safe for those that don't feel comfortable in water. And we have bars that can go in and out of the pools too. So it's great. People love them.
For folks who haven't been moving, and once you get moving, it's easier to keep moving. So I love that. I'm going to pivot a little bit because I know both of your kids are student athletes. You got one in college, one still at home. How has being around sports shaped what you do in your profession and with your clients and with your employees?
Yeah, that's been a passion of mine. Even that's why I went to school. I was helped by a chiropractor when I was in high school, and I just wanted to keep that rolling. And so I was one of the few high school kids that kind of knew what he wanted to be when he grew up. So, I set off on this journey because I want to help a lot of people, but there's a passion in my heart for helping the athletes as my kids have come up through their various sports, and now they seem to be zeroed in on on their favorite sports. Just met a lot of people, been able to help a lot of their teammates. The coaches have gotten to know us. We've become a resource for local coaches. I've worked with various teams. I've really had the opportunity to work with a wide variety of athletes, from the elite athlete all the way down to the adolescent athlete. Injuries happen, and when that does happen, while unfortunate, that's where my passion is, because I want to get them back on the field as quickly as I can. As a parent, I understand that. As a parent, you want your kid, nowadays youth sports are big business. Parents are spending lots of money for their kids, so they do want to get their kids back on the field or court as quickly and safely as possible. But also understanding that, there's a time and place, and sometimes we have to shut them down. But, I really enjoy working with the young athlete for sure.
An injured athlete's journey, like if we take an ACL, right? It's a brutal journey, right? So there's the physical journey, but there's also the emotional journey that can be pretty taxing.
Yeah, 100%. We're not in the mind side of things as you would be, but the mindset, sometimes, if nothing else, we can be a good cheerleader for these athletes and help them stay patient, trying to set reasonable expectations. With our pools, we are turning like those ACL injuries around a little faster than traditional physical therapy facilities. But yeah, it's it's a roller coaster. There's going to be ups and downs and good weeks and bad weeks. So yeah, that's always fun for us, and going through that journey with them. And they're spending so much time with us on that road to recovery that not only are they a patient, they really become a friend. It's a family atmosphere, and they're usually going through the therapy process with other athletes, they're here together. And so the patients a lot of times end up coaching each other along too, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love that you called out, right? Being patient. I try to use the word like, let's set micro goals and then let's just stack them, right? And the next thing you know, you've stacked enough micro goals, you're back into the game. Yeah. So I want to pivot a little and just ask a personal question, right? You and Mary, both owners, you got 2 kids, you got 4 locations. How do you balance it all?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Now, you hear a lot about the whole work-life balance, and to be very candid, I've tilted that scale too far in the work direction to get to that point very early in my career. I really worked hard, and I wanted to do that to lay a good foundation to build something. And then as we bought the business, there was a goal in mind. We wanted to really kind of change the culture of our organization and build this. And then we've hired such great people, and our people have been with us a long time. We're not a typical company with turnover. And so because of that, we've grown a lot of leaders within the organization. And those leaders are what are carrying it forward, so that I've been able to tilt that scale back in the right direction. You're always going to be one way or another. I don't know if we'll ever be completely balanced, but at this point, it's been a team effort. I've been heavier on the work side of things. Mary continues to do a fantastic job raising the family and getting them to all their practices and all those type of things. But it was very important to me early on that I was there for all my kids' sports. And that's always been something. In the winter, my son plays college basketball. We travel to every single game, home and away. We don't miss games. And that makes for some very late nights on weeknight in the winter when you're crawling into bed at 12:31 in the morning. And I get up very early. I'm a morning person, so that's my most productive time of day. So I keep to that routine, but it does make for some balance. But at this point, to answer your question, we've been able, because we work so hard early on, to build this foundation that really love our people here, and they just do a fantastic job keeping it rolling day after day. We go on vacations, we do all the things that typical families do, and when we go away, there's not a worry in our mind. People here just do a fantastic job running the business, whether we're here or not. So it's been a lot of fun for us, and I think the effort and the thought that we put into that has afforded us this opportunity, because now, I feel like we're just maybe living an atypical life from a business owner, in that we're not married to the business, nor do we want any of our employees to. Again, just like we want to take care of the employees, because then they'll take care of the patients. Same with us. We want to make sure that we're in a good mindset to be able to show up good for our people, for our patients, and for our family at home.
Congratulations. Sometimes developing that leadership team, right? You have to delegate,
Yeah,
empower, and trust. And it sounds
yeah.
like you have successfully done that. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So healthcare, it can be challenging. So let's ask a positive question. Like, what
Okay.
trends are you seeing in healthcare or physical wellness that most excites you for the future?
Yeah, it's changed a lot in my time in the profession. I think that there is a trend towards people taking some responsibility in their health, whether forced or otherwise. People need to be able to continue working, unfortunately, probably longer than ever. So we see a lot of people leaning on us to be able to keep going and extend their careers. From a physical point of view, I see just in the healthcare community around us through demands and pressures of the insurance industry. That's been the largest change, that they need to try conservative health care such as what we offer before any type of surgical intervention occurs. And that's why the surgeons love our referrals, because we've triaged them appropriately. We make very timely referrals for them. Surgeons, let's be honest, they don't make money doing office visits. They make money in the operating room. So they like those referrals. But likewise, they need, before they do surgery, in the absence of any red flags, they need to show that there's been a trial of conservative care, whether it's chiropractic, physical therapy, or both. And so that's been a trend. And I honestly see, especially the trend with students coming out of medical school, that they're very open. We have a seat at the table with these same doctors that have a very open mind about what we're doing. And so we've had an opportunity to educate them. So it's just a very open, friendly, everyone just wants what's best for the patient now. Doctors are very busy. They're very burdened by the burden, or they are burdened by documentation. So that's changed a lot with the trend towards, over the past 10 years or so, to electronic health records and making sure that we're documenting for the insurance industry. So that's been something that's probably decreased the quality of life of healthcare providers in general. If you ask any of them, it's usually documentation and the time they have to spend doing notes and that type of thing that it diminishes their career satisfaction a little bit. But we work with our team on ways that we can do very good documentation, but also do it as efficiently as possible, so they're not spending hours upon hours typing notes in the evenings and weekends.
The world has changed a little bit, but what I heard in there is that there's a motivation to do what's best for the client from all parties in healthcare.
Yeah.
And there's a greater increase to, what, we got to take care of ourselves. All right. We got a
Right.
lot of work to do maybe in general, but you're seeing some movement in that space, which is terrific.
Yeah, and we hear a lot. A lot of what we do is we try and listen to our patients and what type of feedback they're getting. And in our world, we actually touch the patient. And a lot of people say when they go to their doctor, the first thing they say is, "My doctor just sits and types on the computer the whole time." We don't want to do that. When we're in the room, we want to be 100% present for our patients, listening to them. Listening to our patients is as good as any examination we can ever do. We can really learn a lot about the patient if we just sit and listen to them.
Fabulous, fabulous. So I want to ask you, what's a daily habit or a mindset practice that you have that helps you kind of show up and be your best every day?
Yeah, so for me, it's the morning routine. I'm a big fan of the morning routine. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, but time management, organization is probably where I tend to thrive the most. So I like planning out my day. I plan out weeks ahead of time so that I'm ready to go. And so my most productive time of day is early in the morning, where I can do all of that focused work. That's when I'm at my best. As the day goes on and I step into patient patient care and chaos gets rolling, that's not the time to do my productive work. And then, I'll tail off towards the end of the day. So, to me, the morning routine is quick, and I have a lot of the same tasks and repeatable things that I do day after day in that morning routine. I journal, I read, I do all that stuff in the early mornings as well. So that's kind of a non-negotiable for me. So I keep that one consistent in my life. And, for years, I didn't really follow a morning routine. I was always a morning person, but I was just kind of shooting from the hip. Once I really locked in on that and zeroed in on that, I found that I became much more productive in a short window of time.
Yeah, good for you. And for me, my morning routine is workout.
Mhm.
And I wrap up my workout with like a 5 or 10 minute meditation.
Yeah.
And when I do not do that, so it's a non-negotiable with a little asterisk for when I
Yeah.
screw that up, right? By 2 o'clock, I know that I'm off my game
Right.
because I did not like set my foundation the way I need it to be the best version of myself.
Yeah.
So kudos to you that you have that morning routine and it's a non-negotiable. So, if we have some folks who maybe are kinesiology majors or health science majors who happen to be listening to this
hmm
and they're not sure, do they want to be a chiropractor? Do they want to be a physical therapist? What advice would you give to a young person who's like trying to figure out which avenue to go?
Yeah, I think the big one is doing some observation. We have a lot of kinesiology majors, for example, that do spend time with us because we have both disciplines and they can kind of check it out and see is there one particular route that they want to go. You don't have to go the kinesiology route to go into chiropractic and physical therapy school. Even that educational model is changing quite a bit because you can kind of now, physical therapy's done it for years where you can go right out of high school and enroll in a program from freshman year all the way through and get your now DPT, Doctorate of Physical Therapy. And chiropractic, typically, we were finishing our bachelor's degree and then going off to chiropractic school for another 4 years. Now, Pitt is enrolling their first class in the fall of or this coming August will be their first where you can matriculate right out of high school and go straight through undergrad and chiropractic school. So that's pretty cool. We've aligned ourselves with Pitt, so their students are going to be coming through here, doing rotations, doing internships with us. I'm going out there this weekend to do some stuff. That's kind of the new trend there from an educational point of view. But these students, the reality is get a degree in what interests you the most. And as a 18, 17-year-old kid, a lot of times you don't really understand where you want to go. If you do want to go off to one of these schools after you get your undergraduate degree, you just got to get your necessary prerequisites. Same for medical school, all of them, where you get your organic chemistry, physics, all that fun stuff. Do. But the reality is you could have a political science degree and, get your prerequisites and go off if it's truly a passion of yours that you want to explore. But, we talk to people, we get inquiries all the time and observe as many different providers as you can in those fields and just see if that's something you truly could see yourself doing every day. It's not for everyone, but those that I could talk to any of my providers and they don't regret their decision one bit, whichever direction they decided to go, because, they found that passion. They feel like they're part of something bigger than just earning a paycheck, just treating a patient, or just trying to provide numbers and provide income. You'll burn yourself out very quickly if that's the route you choose.
Yeah, great advice. Great advice. All right. My last question.
Mm-hmm.
What's next for the Hetrick Center? Anything exciting on the horizon?
Yeah,
Well, the alliance with Pittsburgh is pretty big.
Yeah, that's probably the next thing. You know, we're always looking, you know, to grow as a company. So we're looking to just continue growing our existing clinics. We're looking to add providers. You know, recruitment is a big challenge for us these days because enrollment is down in these professional schools because students just don't want to carry the burden of massive student loan debt. That's a real problem, and so you know, trying to recruit these students, you know, again, we recruit them with the premise that they're going to have the opportunity to be part of something bigger. But the reality is there's other companies out there recruiting the same graduates. So as far as what's next, that's it. We don't have specific plans to add more clinics, add any other services, that type of thing. We like the identity that we've created. We continue to work on that. And so that's really where a lot of our effort is just continuing to build that team cohesiveness through the integrated care. We're really spending a lot of time working on that.
And it's worked really well for you. So, you know, just fine tuning and then that relationship with Pitt, awesome.
Yeah,
So I
thank
want
you.
to say thank you for taking the time for joining us
Yeah, thanks for having me.
and just stay well. Thank you.